friends. I just wanted to share about how I got into acting. Some of you guys know the story, some of you don't, but it's a pretty interesting one. So I was never planning to go into acting in my life. I went to college for biochemistry, and I have a degree in biochemistry. But my junior year, going into my senior year, one of my professors, Dr. Hazard, had talked to me, and he was asking, what do you want to do after you graduate? And I was like, well, do what most biochemistry majors do. They get a PhD and they get a research lab and they do research. Yeah, and I was like, that's what I'll do. And he said, don't take this the wrong way, because I don't mean it in a bad way, but I don't really know if academia is the path you want to take. And I was like, who? And he's like, well, do you even enjoy what you're doing now? And I stopped and I really thought about it, and I was like, well, I guess not. I was only getting through classes because my friends were forcing me to study with them. I didn't care about any of it. And it's by the grace of God that I even passed any of my classes. Major curves that somehow let me pass my classes. And I don't know. It was just, I was going through the motions and didn't really stop to ever check in, So that was sort of a big moment where I was like, oh, I guess not. But then I didn't know what to do. And he's like, well, what do you enjoy doing? And I was like, I don't know. This is life. This is all I do. I don't know. And yeah, so that was a hard moment to realize that I didn't know that much about myself. But I was talking with one of my other professors, Dr. Dollinger, and yeah, we just discussed things, trying to figure things out. And I remember at one point, there was something I wanted to say. She had been asking, what would you do if you didn't get paid for it? And I had no answer to that. And then, she's like, well, technically you could do anything. And if you making coffee, be a barista, who cares? And then I was like, there's something inside of me that I wanted to say something, but I couldn't. I didn't know why, but it was blocked. And then I just finally was like, just say it. So I was like, but what if at my high school reunion, nobody's impressed because I was top 1% and people are expecting a lot out of me? And then when that came out, my professor was like, so you're choosing your entire life and your entire career based off of the opinions of people who probably don't think about you, care about you. And that was a big moment where it was oh my gosh, I'm living for other people, and I'm living to build up my own pride and my ego and to impress people. And it was just this huge discovery, and it was sort of gross. It was a gross moment. And yeah, later on God would teach me that I was living for my own glory, not his, to build up my own pride and everything. Yeah, and so it was just big moment. And yeah, so then I was like, okay, now what? And so I was a Christian, but I believed everything, but I wasn't living for God. I never checked in with him. I was just I'll choose my path, you bless it, okay, God? But that's not how it works. And so I was like, okay, God, what is your plan for me? You made me, you put me on this earth, what is your plan for me? And so I just started reading the Bible, and I started praying a lot, and I was just trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. And I remember praying this one time, and this idea popped into my head, God, about acting. And I was like, acting? no, that can't be right. I've never acted in my life, not a school play, not a community play, nothing. So I was like, that ain't right. And so yeah, I ignored it. And then throughout the like days, throughout life, it would just pop up again, and I'd be like, push it down, because I don't know anything about acting. No, that's not correct. And then there was this Christian praise night and worship night, and we had a special guest speaker, John Yee, and he was, at one point he was saying, if you feel like God is calling you to do something that's impossible, like, you need to step out in faith and, like, trust him. And I was just like, is God talking about acting for me? And I was like, no, I mean, it's just been on my mind a lot lately, so I think no, it has nothing to do with that. No, I'm just gonna continue to ignore it. And, I think reflecting back on it, another reason why I didn't want to step out in faith or believe or trust is because I was so much, like, didn't believe it was possible, because I was... like, I didn't feel like I looked Hollywood. I was like, I didn't see any Asians in Hollywood. I was overweight. I was 35 pounds heavier than I am now. And not that that matters, because God still used me at that weight, like, to do acting stuff later on. But that made me feel like super, like, I can't do acting. And also I just didn't find myself attractive or beautiful at all. So it was like, God, that's impossible. I can't do acting. And so later on, I was at church, and Pastor Kevin at True Light was doing a sermon, and he said at one point, the very same God that made the heavens and the earth and everything in it is the very same God that you serve. And if he wants to use you in a certain way, he can use you in that way. This is the God that can move mountains. He can move you to wherever he needs you. And I think that was like a really big moment for me, where I was like, oh my gosh, like, you're so right. And I was like, okay, God, like, you can do whatever. So I guess I will step out in faith. And I said, okay, I'm gonna graduate in like this end of the semester. So basically I was like, well, when I'm done, I'm gonna take one community college class, acting class, and if I like it, and if this is your will, maybe I will continue down this path. Yes? And and so I did that, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought, hey, I'm not that bad. And also, not trusting God, I submitted 2 biochemistry jobs afterwards and didn't hear back from any of them for any interviews or anything, not a peep. But I was taking classes and auditioning, and I was actually getting stuff, so it was crazy. So I was like, I guess this is where God wants me to be. And so that's what I've been pursuing ever since. And God has taught me so much, worked in my life so much, and has brought these awesome relationships into my life. And so I'm just really thankful. And God has a purpose for your life as well. And if you guys have stories of how God has moved drastically in your life, like, I'd love to hear that too. Okay, that's my story, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!